Hello. Yes, I'm making YBA videos again. Specifically, I'm here to talk about the lad himself, Senor Soft Ewet. Specifically, Soft might go beyond, as it's objectively better than its base form. This ain't a King Crimson scenario, it's more like a D4C. In this video, I'll be telling you how to effectively use Soft and Wet, including the right specs, combos, tips, and counterplay. I won't include the moveset, however, since Uzuki already does those for free. Alright, without further ado, like if you like, dislike if you dislike, and check if you're subscribed or else Susan will shatter my kneecaps. Alright, let's get started. First, picking the right specs. A lot of specs work well with Soft and Wet, and surprisingly, none of them are Hamon. This is because the buff that Go Beyond gets from Spin is larger than the buff it would get from Hamon, and if you want a melee spec, Boxing and Pluck already exist. Now, I recommend using Spin for Soft and Wet for the Go Beyond buff, and the projectiles work very nicely with the rest of its kit, allowing you to have 5 projectiles. Also, you don't even need to charge Spin for the Go Beyond buff, all you need is the spec. It's pretty crazy stuff. Boxing is the more common option, but Soft and Wet's base destructive power is not quite enough for me to recommend using it. If you want to, you can. Haymaker is one of the moves of all time after all, but this video will be from the perspective of a Soft and Wet Spin kit. Alright, let's talk about some combos. The most basic combo for Soft and Wet is Moisture Plunder into Shovel Barrage. At max upgrades, this will do a lot of damage. Seeing as how Shovel Barrage is effectively a kick barrage, that goes without saying. If your opponent is bad enough, you might be able to sneak in a beatdown instead of a Shovel Barrage, or even after a Shovel Barrage, more on that later, but I wouldn't recommend going for it a lot of the time. Now, I've seen a lot of people trying to use Friction Plunder into Moisture Plunder as a combo starter, but I recommend against that for one very simple reason.
Alright! Okay!
Y'all know you can block while getting up, right? Instead of using Friction Plunder, you should use Bubble Prison. Well, this is parryable, Friction Plunder is blockable, and following up with a turnaround Shovel Barrage, more on that later, can break the block, leading to a confirmed beatdown for a whole bunch of damage. Especially if you can follow up with the Go Beyond. Also, not really a combo, but if you're a big fan of barrage baiting, so the barrage and then heavy punch before they can barrage back, replace that with Shovel Barrage means you do a lot of damage. Of course, if it fails, you'll be on the receiving end of the word smelliest Red Hot Chili Peppers combo, but oh well. Speaking of which, let's talk about strat. Starting things off, you should be throwing out more steel balls than fucking AutoZone. The spin projectiles are some of the strongest in the game, especially Whirl. That thing is insane. And all of them combo really well with the already projectile focused Soft and Wet, especially with Shovel Barrage. Can you tell I think Shovel Barrage is your best move? Aside from that, and this may sound a bit strange, but I recommend never using Friction Plunder. Now, Friction Plunder would be broken with pretty much any other stand, but Soft and Wet doesn't have a good payoff for it, aside from, I don't know, Shovel Barrage. It doesn't confirm Moisture Plunder, so it's pretty much useless. The YouTube combo bandwagoners are going to kill me for saying this, but they're allergic to the F key, so I don't care. Next, if you know your opponent is bad at parrying, try to purposefully miss the last hit of Shovel Barrage. This will leave them in a bit of stun, which can lead to a beatdown if pulled off successfully. The reason to avoid this against better players is that it leaves you open to the world's most telegraphed parry since that Prestige 1G tried to beat down you. Also, if you stun your opponent while they're at high HP, I recommend not going for a beatdown. The finishing hit will only deal like 3 damage, which is pathetic compared to the possible DPS from Moisture Shovel combo. Save your beatdown for about 50% HP or lower to maximize DPS efficiency. Yes, you can sometimes land a beatdown after a turnaround Shovel Barrage, but that's too risky for me to recommend it 100% of the time. This next tip may seem a bit weird, but bear with me. Do not charge Spin. This might just be a me thing, but charging specs is unintuitive, and since Spin is usable without charging, I see no reason to. All this really does is make you susceptible to projectiles, especially things like Home Run and Golden Nail. Sure, Soft and Wet is often at a distance from the opponent, but the risks far outweigh the benefits, especially against other spin users or stands with half-decent projectiles. Finally, and this should be common sense, but remember that you have a self-heal. If you're gonna lose, use it. It gives you armor, moves you away from the action, and heals you. It's really good for a projectile stand such as Soft and Wet Spin due to the range it gives you. As less and less people start to play Soft and Wet and move back to melee-centric stands like Star Platinum and KCR, the little bit of healing every 30 seconds or so goes a long way to outgrinding your opponent. If you're using the boxing variant, you can start charging Haymaker when the bubble pops in order to get some easy damage, but of course, Spin doesn't have Haymaker, so I won't go any further in depth with that. The rest kind of just goes without saying. Don't barrage first, aim your projectiles, parry beatdowns, the works. Just remember that Steel Ball does not cancel time stop for some reason, and you're pretty much golden. Alright, now time for counter. If you want to beat the soft and wet spin, all you gotta do is play Tusk. I don't know why, but for some ungodly reason, Wormhole Uppercut's windup is just short enough to avoid getting hit by an already approaching Steel Ball from its max range. The amount of times I have been trolled by Wormhole Uppercut while filming my Soft and Wet 1v1s video is staggering. Best part is that Soft and Wet can barely see you do the animation on account of the giant green ball covering your avatar, meaning it's nearly impossible to block. Aside from Wormhole Uppercut, however, a lot of Soft and Wet Spin's projectiles are cancelable with nails, which come out faster than them. Plus, the fact that Go Beyond just makes you an Arigato Gyro Magnet means that Tusk is the perfect counter to Soft and Wet. But if you don't want to play Tusk, the best thing you can do is get up close and personal with your opponent. Sure, they might try to moisture and shovel you, but both of those are avoidable by blocking, as well as having pretty decently long cooldowns. Boxing paired with a high DPS stand like 12 or Star Platinum in the world is probably the best fit for this, especially since time skip means the Soft and Wet effectively can't get away from you. However, do note that aggression is not solely the job of the high DPS stands. Hell, other Soft and Wets can do it if they time shovel well enough. The final tip I'll give to people fighting against Soft and Wet is to block. The vast majority of Soft and Wet Spin's moves are blockable or parryable. Hell, even Shovel Barrage, the best move in the kit, is parryable. The only attacks that aren't countered by F are Go Beyond, Whirling Ball, and Twist Punch. If you're a Soft and Wet and want to play around this, however, make sure to just bait out a block from your opponent with M1s or something and then go for one of those, especially a Twist Punch. In conclusion, I think Soft and Wet is a pretty well balanced stand. Its moveset reminds me a lot of Stone Freeze, with a bigger emphasis on ranged combat than melee, well with Go Beyond and the lower destructive power and all that. I know I said that Soft and Wet was OP in my last video's thumbnail, but that's what we call clickbait, kids. Well, if you found this informative, make sure to like it and subscribe to never miss an upload like it. And while you're at it, join my Discord server, link in the description. Till next time, peace!